As long as I can remember, Spider-Man has always and will always be my favorite superhero. Maybe around the age of 3 or 4, I first learned about Spider-Man through Christmas, thanks to my parents, and due to that, I became a good fan of his comics as well. And with that, meant reading his runs, which I will admit I have not. I recently started reading all of them at least these last few months, and it's honestly been pretty good. But obviously, with the goods comes the bads, and in the state that it's in right now, there are many people, many people, very upset with the current state that the comics are in, especially with Peter Parker and the new Zeb Wells run, amongst other things. But the video is going to specifically focus on 6 topics: Wells run, Slott's run, the new Miles Morales run, the Lost Hunt, and the Black Cat and Mary Jane, and the few mentions of the Noir's new Spider-Man series. So, if anything, let's get started. Wells' run is definitely an difficult topic to discuss. Specifically with me, in my opinion, I wouldn't really say I'm divided, more leaning towards the negative, since I'm a big Mary Jane and Peter shipper, because that's what I grew up on. But it's not just that, there are several issues with the book. Um, Peter himself is personally, I believe, out of character, at least for the fact, uh, power wise at least, and the fact that he relies on Norman Osborn a lot, which not only is not Norman Osborn a villain and his long rival, that's not really that much of an issue for me since, you gotta change the comics somehow. But primarily the issues lie within the fact, like I said, his powers overall being inconsistent. Peter and MJ, like I said, for some reason they decided, well, Wells decided, well, not specifically Wells, but I'll just say Wells because he chooses to write them like that, decides to split them apart and then for some reason make Peter this super weird and creepy stalker dude. Don't really know if I'd say stalker, but either way, he's just this person that has eyes to getting cucked 7 ways to Sunday and doesn't seem to know when to just drop the hat and just let it be. How, which is sad considering the fact that they've been married in the comics for like 20 years, which I didn't live through. But I read back those comics, and I still go back and read those comics currently, whenever I feel bummed out about the fact they're not together. But only time can tell. So that's definitely a huge bummer. Another point of complaint, personally for me, is Ben Riley. I like obviously I've mentioned several times already. I don't really, I didn't really grow up with Ben Riley, so I don't really have that much of an issue with Ben Riley. But definitely, I see people having a lot of issues, especially in the comics, with character assassination, which I get, I understand. I don't really like, wouldn't really like my favorite character just suddenly being portrayed as this sniving villain that is super petty about stupid shit that he calls for himself. But no, nothing really to complain there for me. I mean, other than the fact, I guess that um, he just he acts like a petty child, honestly, because he just constantly complains and tries to pick fights with Peter, even though Peter just he just doesn't want to listen, even though Peter tries to explain it to him. But no, neither one is gaining an inch on the other one, so Peter just essentially gives up and sends himself to hell, which, thanks Peter. But, I mean, I guess it worked in the end, but speaking of that, Dark Web, wow, that was an experience. That was the first ever event that I sat through as a comic fan. Um, and I will say that was not the best experience. I was constantly waiting for it to be over and was reading other comics, but I was still reading because it's Spider-Man, so I'm gonna be a sucker for him either way. But yeah, the Dark Web event ended, and it's just like, whatever. I honestly just would rather just we pretend it just didn't happen, but that's sadly not gonna happen. One thing I can say though that I do like about Wells' run is John Romita Jr. Um, I will admit, as much as other people have stated before me, his art is definitely not on his A game within his run. Doesn't mean it's bad. I still think it's very good, but not his best. But definitely, he is one of my favorite comic artists, especially Spider-Man artists, when it comes to comparing to other people. That also goes with Mark Bagley and Otley and Ramita Sr., amongst other people, but that's just not it. But hopefully, the future of the series will, actually turn out good. As of recording this on the 18th, the issues of 25 and 26 this run are claiming to be some of the most shocking we've had in 6 years, which, if you do the math, is around the time Gwen Stacy died. So I can't really tell you what I think. I definitely think someone's gonna die because that makes sense. It probably won't be. It will probably be MJ or something like that, which would make sense. It's truth revealed, but either way, certainly, certainly an interesting feature for the rest of the story, which I don't really. I would lie if I say if I'm not interested. I am interested, but just you know, hopefully for the best. But sadly, well, I'm gonna say sadly, but Wells' run isn't the only run we have. We also have Slot's run, with Mark Bagley as the artist. Slot's run takes place some point after Wells' run, um, is currently in the future because you can. It starts off with Peter talking with Norman and already equipping the new Osborn suit that he made, which is cool reference I guess, and Bagley as mentioned previously. So not that terrible for me. And Slot, I do not care for his writing. It's not horrible, but it's definitely not great. So I don't, like I said, don't really care. Although one thing I will say is that he really likes to make Peter seem like an arrogant asshole, which, I mean, sure, if that's how you view the character, I mean, go ahead, it's your story. I mean, I'm still gonna nitpick it because it doesn't make sense. Because he's like upset about the fact he's quote unquote the chosen one, and then proceeds to just act like everything's gonna be perfectly fine now, and nothing can. He quite literally says nothing can go bad because he's here, and then proceeds to die, which is I don't even say out of character. Like that's just straight up. I don't even think I can imagine Peter Parker saying that. Like I don't believe he can be that arrogant. But he dies because the villains, who happen to be another Spider Verse villain, because Slot really likes the Spider Verse. I didn't have the energy to go through all of his Spider Verse comics. I read the first one and I was like, this is cool. And then saw all these other ones and I'm like, I'll pass on that. But Moreland's here again, a John Romita Jr. and Straczynski creation, which I honestly love. Especially the Straczynski's run. I really, really like that run, which should be a no-brainer to anyone that actually likes Peter Parker. But anyway, point is, Moreland is here and now he is good, quote unquote. I'll just say good, quote unquote, because he's more of just enemy, and my enemy is my friend. So you can't always, gotta put differences aside to work together, I guess, especially when your life is on the line. But within these last two issues, Peter Palmer is introduced after Peter Parker dies because he's an idiot, and for some reason, Peter Palmer is from the Earth 616 beta, which is a thing in the book, and I actually searched it up, seeing if Palmer was even an actual thing, which he's not. So he's like an original character, just straight up designed for this. So that was interesting. But this last issue, um, basically is like a what if story if Peter didn't get bit by the radioactive spider, and um, I didn't really care. I keep saying I don't care, but I do. Just it was all right. Honestly, it was all right. I don't really care that much for Silk, so I mean, Dan Slott likes Silk and his characters, so he'll just write it however he wants. It doesn't really matter about what I say, but I don't really care for Silk or any of these other characters other than Miles Morales or Miguel. Miguel, Noir, and Miles are probably my favorite alternate Spider-Man other than Peter Parker. Like I don't really care for Silk I mean, Jessica Drew is cool, especially in the new Avengers run. But yeah, that one's fine. But unfortunately, in the new one, the story just does not move at all, which sucks because we wait these issues, unlike Wells run, is like monthly. So we waited a whole month just for nothing to happen. Just have to wait another month for something to happen, which is awesome because I just love waiting for nothing to happen. Now I kind of rambled on for a second, but not really much to say about Slot's run. Just really mediocre and whatever. Craven and gay Spider-Man are a thing now, so I don't really know what to feel about that. Just a lot of needless pandering to the community. Which, I don't think it's a terrible thing. Like, if you want to do it, go ahead. But just that felt really poor taste, and just they did it for the sake of doing it, not because they wanted to do it. But, speaking of Miles Morales, we also have his new run, which is interesting. I'll be honest when I say out loud, Miles Morales, even though I did say I like him, definitely not the most interesting Spider-Man other than Peter Parker. I definitely have other favorites, although I don't mind reading his book. I've read his original from Bendis and then all of his current runs. So I do have a decent history and knowledge on Mr. Morales, so I do have my opinions on it. The new one, I can say definitely 100%. I love the art. The artist, I forgot to write that down, but the artist for this book, the new one especially that came out, I think in December of 2022. Honestly, one of my favorites I've looked at in a long time. Not beating Ramina Jr., but still, I still like it a lot, though. Um, Although Miles is having a similar issue with Peter when it comes to relationships and girl problems, because like Peter, he has like I just said, girl trouble because he can't have a girlfriend for the life of her for the life of him. Because in the first run he had Kate Bishop, and that ended because was a daughter of Hydra agents, and then he dated this Barbara girl, and then I guess that just failed, and now he's dating Tiana, the Vulture's granddaughter, which I would say at first I was like, that makes zero sense, but when you actually read it, I'm like, yeah, this is actually pretty good. So I don't really have many complaints there. I do like the mention of Scorpion, although like I do feel like he is just kind of added in just for the sake of having a familiar villain. But I do like his involvement, especially the way he's drawn in the action scenes. The action scenes are a part that I really do like about this book. Even though I already said I like it, I'll just say it again. This art is amazing, and I will make sure to add the artist in the video. But the new villain that is being introduced into this story for Miles is the Rabble, who is, I will be honest and say it is very, very stupid, which, not really a surprise for Spider-Man villains, but apparently she is upset because Miles got sent to the special school and not her. So now she wants to become a villain because the world's just unfair and people aren't willing to do what it takes to fix it, which is like, okay. I don't really know what to say about that. That sounds super boring and super petty, which, I guess is the whole point. But it seems that she knows that what she's doing is messed up, but I don't really have much to say about it. It's honestly just I would give it like a pretty good. It's not my favorite, but I will definitely continue to read it from now on. But I really do wish the best for Miles and his stories. And yeah, but on to the next topic, which is the Lost Hunt. Funnily enough, my main complaint with Wells' run was the fact that he decided to keep MJ and Mary Jane. Yep, MJ and Mary Jane. MJ and Peter separated, but luckily in the Lost Hunt made by Mateus, he has D. Mateus, he decides to make them marry again. Well, not really decides, but more or less goes back in time to back before One More Day and right after Craven's last hunt happened. Um, so definitely around around the 90s I would say because MJ's pregnant. So yeah, no, that all happened. Clone Saga fun, but I do like the dynamic between the two, which is good. I hope he writes it good. Funnily enough, Mateus, he said himself that he does not believe in a universe where Peter and MJ are not married. So that makes it even better with the fact that he's putting them together. Unfortunately, though, I will say, even though I am loving this so much more than Wells' run, they editorial only decided to give this run the limited series treatment, which is unfortunate. They did the same thing with Renew Your Vows, which is another story that I go back and read all the time. If you haven't, please do. They decided to give it a limited run, which, sucks, but it'll always be there, so I could just go back and read it over and over and over again. So I'll never get bored of it because you can never get bored of Peter of MJ. If you do, you're a liar. Yeah, that's all I have for this one. Speaking of Mary Jane, we do have Mary Jane and the Black Cat that came out recently with the Dark Web event. Black Cat and the Mary Jane, the run by Jed McKay, I believe. Don't really know what to say about it, other than the fact that I personally believe that this story is one of the most unnecessary and unneeded stories ever. You can tell that they just wanted to make this for the sake of having more MJ and Black Cat, but there wasn't really any plans other than the fact to make it. Key thing one is that MJ has powers now for literally no reason, and I say this due to the fact that MJ's powers literally have nothing to do with the plot. They're sent to hell, because of course you are, but they're not sent to hell because of MJ. They're sent to hell because of something else. MJ constantly tries to use their powers, but it just ends in nothing, and having Black Hat just solve everything. So it's like, why even have them in the first place? Which I assume, like I said with Wells' run, just have to change with the comics a bit. Just, I get it, but it is unbelievably unnecessary. And I personally, for the first time, have genuinely thought there and sat and wondered out loud, why did they make this? Not out of it's bad or like there's obviously a target like usually I can see with like Wells Run or something there's probably a target audience. But here like there was genuinely like no goal anywhere to do anything. Like I don't even know who this was for because I don't think anybody asked for any of this. But unfortunately, in the new issue with it ends with Peter finding out that Black Cat is dating Peter, and it cuts to nothing, which is like, okay. And the way that they find about it is the most ridiculous thing could possibly imagine. They make MJ's powers luck base, cool. You don't even give her official power set, but they make it luck based, and apparently Black Cat power is to have bad luck, which Black Cat, bad luck, get it. And for some reason, they decide to have MJ just have her power suck and have her come to the conclusion that, oh my god, she's dating Peter, which is true. But it's just like, this was unbelievably stupid. And I'm not saying I could do better. I mean, I've never tried. Either way, point is, I was just like, what the hell? I was, but not necessarily bad. So I'll continue reading. But maybe it was just these last few issues that I'm like, this is pointless. Hopefully the next few issues will go out well, but I don't have very much faith in that. But I believe McKay, especially with the Beyond arc, if I'm remembering that correctly, the Beyond arc, it wasn't too bad, but we can only wish for the best. As I mentioned previously, when the video first started, there is one more topic actually that I actually forgot. It is the Amazon Noir series, which hasn't come out yet, but I did want to just mention it here. Since we're talking about modern Spider-Man projects, I guess we should have brought in the Spider-Verse, but no. But I am pissed as hell because they are making a Spider-Man TV series about a specific Spider-Man that I love, but they don't even make Spider-Man the main character. They're gonna make it someone else, but they're still gonna name it Spider-Man Noir, which is like, why even make it then? It's just a slap in the face to everybody that loves the series. Unless they're just gonna do this thing where it's gonna basically be Spider-Man but without the name, which if they do, okay, that's fine. I can live with that. But that's my little rant for this topic. But that was my first commentary video. Don't bully me too hard. You can do whatever you want. It's the free country anyway, free channel. But obviously, if you have a common brain, you can tell that this was obviously not scripted. So I just had some notes here that I just read out loud. But I enjoy making this video. I've been planning on making a video like this for a while now. So now I finally got the chance. Hope everybody that watched it enjoyed it too, and have a good day.